We all want as many children back into school as soon as it's possible and as soon as it's safe. What that required for that to happen was a robust national plan, consensus among all key stakeholders, and strong leadership from the top. All three are missing. The current arrangements lie in tatters. Parents have lost confidence in the government's approach. Millions of children will miss 6 months' worth of schooling, and inequality will now go up. Several weeks ago, I suggested to the Prime Minister that we set up a national task force so everybody could put their shoulder to the wheel. It's not too late. Will the Prime Minister take me up on this?
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, as I told the House before, I've been in contact with the Right Honourable Gentleman by a modern device called the telephone, in which we've tried to agree a way forward, which he's then seemed to deviate from later on. Last week he was telling the House that it was not yet safe for kids to go back to school. This week he's saying that not enough kids are going back to school. I really think he needs to make up his mind. And since he's so fond of these international comparisons, he should know that there are some countries in the EU, in Europe, where no primary school kids are going back to school. I think.
Have this out. The Prime Minister and I have never discussed our letter in any phone call. He knows it and I know it. The task force has never been the subject of a conversation between him and me one-to-one or in any other circumstance on the telephone. He knows it, so please drop that. Secondly, he mentions other countries. Plenty of other comparable countries are getting their children back to school. Wales is an example. Across Europe there are other examples. We're the outlier on this. It's no good the Prime Minister flailing around trying to blame others. A month ago today, he made the announcement about schools without consulting relevant parties, without warning about the dates, and without any scientific backing for his proposal. It's time he took responsibility for his own failures. This mess was completely avoidable. The consequences are stark. The Children's Commissioner has warned of a deepening education disadvantage gap. And she spoke yesterday, her words, the Children's Commissioner, an emerging picture which doesn't give confidence that there's a strategic plan. She called for the government to scale up their response. It must have occurred to the government that space would be a problem, that there would be a need for temporary accommodation and classrooms. They built the Nightingale hospitals. Why are they only starting on schools now?
Mr. Speaker, he still can't work out whether he's saying schools are not safe enough or whether we should be going back more quickly. I mean, he can't have it both ways, Mr. Speaker. It's one brief one day, another brief the next. I understand how the legal profession works, but what the public want to have is some consistency, Mr. Speaker. And what I hope that he will agree with me is that it's a good thing that we've now got 37% of kids in Year 6 in our primary schools coming back. That is increasing the whole time. And what I think the message that I think that teachers want to hear across the country is that all parliamentarians in this House of Commons support the return of kids to school. And furthermore, that they are encouraging kids to come back to school because it is safe. Will he now say that?
Keir Starmer.
I want as many children to go back to school as possible, as soon as possible, as quickly as possible when it's safe. I've been saying that like a broken record for weeks on end. I know the Prime Minister's got rehearsed attack lines, but he should look at what I wrote from this letter and what I've been saying consistently.